Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Map Battle League show. I'm your host Carp, and I'm joined today by Paulinho. How are you doing?
Hello everyone. Well, I'm doing fine. I'm just chilling here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Uh, we've got week 10 coming up for you today, and yeah, let's just hop straight into it with our Division 1 here. And yeah, I mean, you pulled off a draw against Soviet Spy, and you just missed a perfect score on the football world.
Yeah, it was a hard run. I think it was in Albania or something where I just dropped 1 point, but in the end it was alright. I got a great score regardless. Got the draw. I practiced an official uncommon word a lot, but uh, on the day Soviet Spy was just better. And it shows. It really shows. But I'm happy with the result. It's fine. I mean, it doesn't look great for my score difference, but at least I picked up a point there.
Yeah. And in any case, a draw is better than a loss. And Soviet Spy wasn't far behind, so that win on that map still helps. I assume with your name that you figured you had a pretty good advantage going into that game.
Yeah. I watch a lot of football. I knew teams, stadiums, so that's why I chose this map. And it wasn't a very big advantage, but I guess it was just enough for me to get the win on my home map here.
Yeah. We actually had two derbies this week. We had the American Derby between Sheldon Wong and Solo Sensei, which ended in a draw, but again, nearly ended in two perfect scores. Sheldon Wong just dropping 1 point again. Uh, so yeah, that was a pretty close game. Although Solo
Yeah,
Sensei,
very close margins right there
hmm
on the US cities.
yeah, and Sheldon Wong did have the upper hand in Rhode Island, so yeah, that helped them out a bit. And yeah, as you can see, Boxer coming in with two perfect scores this week. I mean, would you expect anything less, really?
Yeah, I mean number one in the table, so I mean it's not surprising at all. Him getting two perfect scores,
Mm-hmm.
especially on a world map and even in Mexico, not that big of a surprise.
Yeah. We did have two different games ending in two perfect scores. The first between Xander and myself, um, which okay, I could have won that round, except I had a round where I was literally like 23 meters away with a perfect score, so that kind of sunk me there. Um,
Yeah, it just goes to show you how close are the margins here in GeoGuessr,
uh-huh.
especially in Division 1, where you can lose a point or gain a point by 10, 15 meters or 10, 20 seconds.
Yep. I was literally not even one street over, just one building away. And even though it was a perfect score, that distance did not help. Um, and
Yeah, it is what it is. At least you get a bonus point
yeah,
for the round.
yeah, I do. So that definitely helps me in the rankings, especially as I am fairly close to the bottom, as we'll see in a bit. But yeah, the second derby this week, the two Germans, Boxer and Scriper. Boxer picks up a win, but yeah, Scriper does manage a perfect score in World Cities, and does manage to pick up the bonus point as well. So yeah, that's going well. Um, and again, Blinky sort of missing this week. Give Barry Fishy Bear the easy win, even with
Yeah, right.
yeah, that Thailand score isn't the best, but like I don't think you'd expect any better out of Thailand.
Yeah, he maybe knew Blinky retired from the competition, or he withdrew, should I say,
Hmm.
and he maybe didn't practice that much. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the standings. And well, Boxer with that win this week is, I think at this point he's pretty much guaranteed to be in the playoffs. But Yeah, he's 6 points ahead of the next player, Orpheus, in second. And but I mean, from there, the competition is still pretty tight. Just 3 points separate Orpheus in second down to Soviet Spy in sixth.
It's very, very close for the three remaining playoff spots. I mean, anybody can make it to top four. I think from eighth or ninth place even. It's not that big of a difference points wise, and in the remaining weeks, we can definitely see some changes there in the standings.
Yeah. Actually, I think the competition near the bottom is also um fairly cutthroat. You know, you've got um basically everyone from Barry down to Shumi between three, like just 3 points apart, and yeah, we're gonna keep swapping spots until the last week. I'm sure of that.
Right, this relegation battle is
Mhm.
very highly contested, and I mean Blinky is pretty much guaranteed to be relegated, I guess, but that leaves one guaranteed relegation spot and a few playoff spots, so it's anybody's game, I think.
Yeah. Uh, well, let's take a look at what we've got in store for us in week 11. And yeah, well, you've gone with Baltics this week against Barry. Any particular reason why?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't my first choice, Baltics, but I selected them because it's pretty close to um, my favorite region, Eastern Europe, and I think I maybe having an advantage over Barry, who's American,
Mm-hmm.
with the Baltics, but uh, he's a very good player. I know him from Reddit League, and it can go either way, I think.
Yeah. Okay, I am looking at this, and this was your second choice, so I'm not sure what your first choice was, but yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
right, right. I think it wasn't, uh, generally speaking, there wasn't a lot of choices that would be preferable to me, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. So that's why I put Baltics, but I'm pretty happy with it. So
Yeah.
we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah. Only time will tell. I have.
Right.
Okay, so my map choice is New Zealand Bay of Plenty, which was number 16 on my list.
Oh
So,
my
and I
God.
think that was the highest one that came up. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty rare to see those kind of things. I'm very curious about how you're gonna fare in New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna end up doing too well. I mean, Baseman with South America is gonna be pretty hard to play against, but I don't even know why I had this New Zealand map in there because New Zealand is not my strong suit. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you maybe put this like a filler so you don't get a random map.
yeah, probably. There. Other than that, Shumi versus Orpheus, I'm pretty sure that's gonna end in a draw. Um, both of them really going for home
Yeah, yeah,
advantages.
most likely. I mean, it's very, very hard to beat Shumi in Nigeria,
Uh,
but it's not impossible.
I I might think otherwise, but yeah, it's definitely difficult to beat him there. Um, you can say that much. And then Sheldon Wong and Soviet Spy also going with the home advantages. Actually, Soviet Spy, I believe Zamboanga is his hometown. So yeah, Moislop is gonna have his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he'll have a hard time, I think, in Philippines.
Hmm. Actually, same thing is there for Boxer going with Frankfurt. I believe that is his hometown as well. Uh, given that it was a city of your choice map. So yeah. Um, Xander's gonna have to play pretty hard to pick up a win there, or
I
even a
mean,
draw.
definitely hard. I mean, you're always the underdog coming up against the boxer, no matter what. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely an interesting week in store over here. But let's move on to Division 2. And here we have one game ending in two perfect scores. That's Invercargill in New Zealand, between Pierre and Ollie. But yeah, Pierre with that near perfect score in the Golden Banana. Uh, I love that name. Uh, yeah, that score is definitely going to help him in the weekly rankings come next week.
Sure. I mean, it's always good to have uh, to to have to try generally to try your best and to get the highest possible score on every map, regardless of who's your opponent.
Yeah. Other than that, any um matches you're looking forward to?
Brian and Daniel Blunt, they have high scores all around on both maps, so that's pretty interesting. They drew there.
Yep. So far, only 3 wins this week. I believe last week there were a lot more wins in this division, but this week only Dryfuck Punked, Wordok, and Midone pick up wins. Um, but yeah, I think Midone's pick of A World of Photospears really did um uh pretty well for himself. Schluty really having trouble measuring up to that. Uh, and he hasn't had the best season so far, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a very low score, but the map is I guess it's no moving, right? It's photospheres, and maybe with a little bit more practice, he could have gotten a better score. But I don't
Mm,
know. I haven't played the map, but
yeah.
yeah, maybe there are a few locations from countries you wouldn't really normally get in a regular GeoGuessr,
Mhm.
and that could have played in.
Okay, yeah. So it is actually an NPC, which if anything, it makes
Right.
Midone's
Yeah, that makes it
score.
even harder.
Yeah, it makes Midone's score stand out even more, because I mean on an NPC getting even above 10,000, I'd say would be pretty difficult.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
um, yeah. Other than that, I think most results, as you'd expect, Zotomo with the home advantage in Kyoto, manages to pull off a draw. Um, and yeah, like I said, as you'd expect. Not much to say there. So yeah, let's take a look at the standings as they've turned out. Um, Not a lot of movement here actually, I believe. I believe only two people swapped spots, but yeah, sort of the top half of the table has some fierce competition, the bottom half as well. They've got their own sort of competitions going on, but I don't really see people moving too far up or down the table.
Yeah, I mean there's like two different packs, the promotion pack and the relegation pack. I mean, and they're both pretty close together, I guess.
Yeah,
The top three people all on 19 points. It will be a hard battle for those two automatic promotion places.
yeah, well,
And Schludi with just 6 points there with no wins. I mean, he is the number one candidate for relegation, I guess. But there is a lot of great players in this division. It's pretty tough.
yeah, time is running out for Schludy to be able to sort of even make it into the relegation playoff spots. But yeah, even at the top of the table, you see Gabriel, Diesel, and Wurdock all on 19 points. Diesel and Wurdock are tied on 25Ks as well, so it's coming down to score difference there. So yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a lot of scrapping up there to stay out of the playoff spots and secure direct promotion. Um, Yeah, other than that, I think really out of the current players in the promotion spots, I think Brian's the only one really in danger of maybe dropping out. Um, and you know, depending on how weeks go, even Hexall could maybe jump up into one of those playoff spots, but we'll have to see how that ends up going.
Yeah, it is mathematically possible, but I mean there is a lot of players battling for that last promotion playoff spot, and it will go down to the wire, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's take a look ahead to week 11, and yeah, definitely some interesting maps in here. The one that stands out to me is Dryfoot going with Nuke in Greenland. That's also that's also a town name I really like. Uh, but yeah, other than that, yeah, any matches that stand out to you? I can definitely tell you an NMPZ World is going to be a tough match in that French derby there.
Yeah, the French derby is sticking out there. It will be probably not two very high scores, given that it's an MPZ. But I mean, it's anybody's game. I think it could go either way there.
Yeah. Um. I think over here we definitely have a lot fewer sort of home advantages going in, but maybe people playing more to their just general strengths with other countries. So while our predictions might not be as clear cut, given that not many of these players have home advantages, this division is definitely going to make for some interesting games. That's for sure. Um,
And that's about right.
yeah. Um, yeah. Well, let's take a look at Division 3 now, and uh, yeah. Uh, just actually 4 wins this week. Nakira, Max, Armand, and Seolfer all pick up wins. And yeah, I believe Seolfer is that his first win? Oh no, he had a few wins. Never mind. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean a few bonus points to go around as well. But yeah, I think mostly results that you'd expect. Maybe in some places people would just far off to lose a match maybe they were the favorites on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's surprising that Lunacy lost on United States, or
Oh,
was it no moving or something? Because
uh,
I see the pretty low scores there.
I don't think it was not moving. Uh, I mean, it doesn't have any of the labels on it. I'm literally just I'm just speed running the map right now to see what happened.
I, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't expect him to lose on a home map, as you
yeah.
would say.
Okay, but what I can see is a lot of the rounds were just middle of nowhere, so that
All
was
right,
probably it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, that probably explains it.
yeah, only one round was actually in like a fairly um populated
Right, right.
area, so yeah, that's probably how it ended up the way it is. Jake does pull off a draw in the American Derby against Deezer, even though he doesn't have an official Uncommon World for himself this week. Um, so yeah, at least
Yeah,
he.
but it was still a world map, and he picked up a win on his
Mhm.
home map, so it's pretty good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think mostly results you'd expect. Altenwalk picking up a win with Urban Iceland, Max with the win in the Nordics. Um, yeah. I think Faraban's pick of Norway maybe wasn't the best way to go. Uh, as you can see. And yeah, Laban Krebs.
Yeah, it didn't really work out for him, and it's interesting also Ottawa and Seppo winning each other's home map and
Right.
drawing in the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe that's the only result you wouldn't really expect. Out of what we've got. Actually, that and Lunacy losing in the U.S. But yeah, there you go. Um, yeah, well, let's take a look at the standings as they've turned out, and yeah, well, Lucky and Jake have pretty much been staples at the top of the table so far. Um, but uh, yeah, closer to the bottom, it's a little more spread out. I think Lunacy down to Seppo is fairly close, but there's a gap opening up between them and the players near the top of the table. So this is definitely sort of spread out more.
Yeah, it's more spread out than the first two divisions. Yeah, and the first two automatic promotion spots are highly contested between the top three players, I guess. And also there will be a battle for the last promotion playoff spot. And down there in the relegation, there is it's a very close together. Last 4 or 5 or even 6 competitors.
Yeah. Uh, Something interesting to note is that the top five players all have 525Ks or above, except for Jake, who's he's probably been carried by an official uncommon world so far, but given how hard that map is, that hasn't been helping his perfect score so far. So that might hurt him later on if he does end up on a tied score with some other players. Uh,
I think that's his strategy. He prioritizes points over score difference, and I mean or total score. But he usually wins by a high margin on his home map, and that shows in the table in the standings.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think at this point, Division 3 is almost entirely decided as for who's going to be in the promotion battle and who's gonna be in the relegation. It's just a question of how much actual movement there is within those sort of areas. Uh, but yeah, let's take a look ahead to week 11. And uh, yeah, again, not too many sort of home apps. I think the closest you might find is Kuopio in Finland for Max. Um, and to some extent, I guess, Neoquin for Levangreb. Uh, I know he's familiar with Buenos Aires. Not I don't know how familiar he is with Neoquin, but yeah, I think this week is more of a toss up than any other.
Yeah, that's about right. Jake Lyons again he has a balanced world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's not his favorite, but it's a world map again, and I think he's a favorite there.
Yeah, it's no official uncommon world, but I mean he's shown in the last few weeks that he's definitely capable um of pulling off wins even on uh other maps as well. Um yeah, that it is a non-moving map. Should note that. As is Faraband's pick of Urban Guesser. Those are both non-moving, so yeah, I think those will turn out to be really interesting games.
Yeah, I think you'd only pick a no moving map for a whole map if you are really good at it. So I
Mhm.
think that's got to be an advantage for
Yeah.
them.
Uh, Definitely some interesting picks. In a few places, Nakira going with Alanya in Turkey. Oh, that was actually a random pick, so never mind. But yeah,
All
that's
right, all right,
um, and Altingwood went with Borneo, which was his second pick. So I don't even know what led to that.
all
Um,
right. I'm not sure what's going on there, but he probably knows something we don't. Maybe he practiced it or
yeah,
had it before somewhere,
yeah,
or who knows. Yeah, and Max with his home advantage in Finland.
yeah. Um, Although actually, Laos isn't going to be easy for him, and it was Seoul's first third pick. So maybe he's got an ace up his sleeve there. Uh, mm, I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and watch.
Yeah, we just have to wait for the results, and we'll see in next week what was that all about. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, Definitely an interesting week here in Division 3. But yeah, let's take a look at how Division 4 turned out. And yeah, a few wins around. Seb, Curious, Michael, and Calamity all pick up wins. Calamity, who hasn't had the best season so far, mostly in the mid-table, does pick up a win with Japan, so that's definitely going to help him out in the rankings. Um, but actually, Clemens picking up a loss against Michael. He was up in the top of the table, and yeah, that might not bode too well for his standings.
Yeah, that loss maybe can hurt him a little bit, but Michael had a slight home advantage given that he's Irish and it was a city in UK, and Belfast is also like Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Uh,
that would have helped him.
yep. Um, Actually, Septius, that win against Ordboka, not a surprise as well. Leipzig definitely turned out to be a home advantage for him as a German. But yeah, South Africa as well. That did not bode too well for Ordboka there. Um,
It was it was a loss and by very high margins.
yeah,
Sepp putting two very good scores there on both maps.
yeah, he's definitely gonna have a high spot in the weekly order as well. We do actually have two sort of surprise games where people were winning on their opponent's map, but I think what stands out most to me is Finn losing in Groningen. He's had a tough season so far since entering, and maybe Groningen was where he could finally pick up a win, but I guess that wasn't meant to be.
Given by the nature of his score, I think it was like four perfect rounds maybe, and one round when he just couldn't find any information, and Pastetli did, so he got the perfect score there. Or
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just guessing.
Mm-hmm. That that might be right. Let me see. Yeah. Um, Finn got four perfect scores and then uh one 8 point round.
Right, right. Very frustrating when that happens when you just couldn't find any information,
Mm-hmm.
and one round just messes up your whole game,
Yeah. The
and you just lose. And a
mm-hmm.
very very close game on the Steel World on Pastetli's map. Just
Mm,
600 point difference, so it could have gone either way.
yeah. That was non-moving as well, so that makes those close scores
Yes,
even
yeah, it makes it
more
even more
interesting.
surprising, right?
But yeah, Finn was able to pull off a win on his opponent's map, which maybe it'll help him so build some confidence closer to the end of the season, so he can at least pick up some points um, from his current spot. But yeah, here are the standings as they've turned out, and yeah, at the bottom of the table, Bitlympics, Ordboka, and Finn are pretty much guaranteed to be in the relegation battle. I think Finn is guaranteed to at least be in the relegation playoff spots, but yeah, maybe with some good weeks he can at least try and make a bid to stay out. But on the other end of things, the battle at the top is really close. From first down to seventh, only 3 points separate all the players.
It will be very interesting to see in the last few weeks to see maybe we can see some derbies at the top of the table, and that and one match at the end of the season can decide who goes through, who gets promoted, who gets in the playoff, and who will stay in the division.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of these battles are coming down to score difference as well because Jack and Hideki both on 18 points, 325Ks each. And yeah, Jack just has the upper hand with score difference. And you've got the same battle going with all the players on 15 points: Renata, Michael, Paranoid, Android, and Clemens, all with 15 points, all with three perfect scores, perfect games, even. So yeah, it's definitely a really cutthroat battle up there. And I think we'll see a lot of people switching spots over the last few weeks.
Yeah, given that the point difference is so little, I mean, there's got to be some moving around in the last few weeks. So it will be interesting to see, I guess.
Yeah. Clemens might be the only one at a bit of a disadvantage here, with a negative score differential. But with a one good week, you could turn that around. But yeah, that's something we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, here's the week 11 fixtures that we've got ahead. Um, yeah, definitely some interesting picks. Again, not many sort of home advantages around. But yeah, I think this division is one that will have a lot of people sort of maybe pulling off some upsets on each other, given how tightly packed the competition is. So yeah, any matches in particular you're looking forward to this week?
Yeah, I think it will be an interesting match between Orboka and Finn, because I think the loser of that game I think it's mathematically relegated, because
Oh,
it's between the two people at the bottom of the table, and it's
right.
a crucial game because if you lose this one, I think it's either last chance at trying to survive in this division.
Yeah, and especially for Finn, given that I believe he's 3 points behind Ordboka. So yeah, if he manages to pick up a win here, that's going to be really helpful for him to at least make it into the relegation playoff battle, and maybe secure a chance at staying in this division for next season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also interesting map pick by Calamity. He picked Romania. I think it was my
Mm-hmm.
first choice.
Ah,
So yeah, he was high in the weekly ranking. So that's why I got Baltics for next round, not Romania, as I would have hoped so. But it's alright.
yeah. I'm sure there were other people who might have wanted to get it, seeing as it was one of the Reddit League like preseason maps as well. And I think it's pretty funny that Calamity himself got it um over there as the organizer. But yeah, there you go. Um, I think Hidikmi maybe also has a bit of an advantage over Michael. Um, uh, I know I think he's pretty good at Switzerland. Um, I think that's his country for the like World Cups as well. So,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's already an advantage, and it will go down to the steel world. So
yeah,
we'll see
which
about that.
which is NMPZ.
Ah,
So,
right. So
so,
that will be interesting.
uh-huh. Um, Let me actually see. That was Michael's second choice. So, I suppose he's pretty confident in that. So we'll have to see how that ends up going. Uh, Definitely one of the more interesting map picks this week, however, is Hugo's pick of Mobility Park. Oh no, that was random. Never mind. But that is an interesting map. I'd love to see how that ends up going.
Yeah, I mean, definitely be interesting. I never heard of that map, and I never played it, of course. But I mean, it will be interesting to check out and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean that's the great thing about this league. You do come across a bunch of these maps that you'd never heard of before. And that
Yeah, sure. And they make you come out of your comfort zone and to play a map that you never even heard of before, and maybe you it happens to be you're good at it, and
yeah, yeah, definitely a great way to discover some of your strengths. But yeah, this is Definitely going to be a really important week for some players. Like we said, Ardboka and Finn, this is pretty much a make or break week. So yeah, everything's on the line, and we've got a really interesting week in store for Division 4 as well. Um, yeah, let's move on to Division 5A. And yeah, this week only 2 wins. Piquet and Raddox, the only ones to really capitalize on the matches and pick up meaningful points. Um, of note, however, we've had two really low-scoring matches. Drew versus GB in Peru. Um, two really low scores there.
Yeah, they're very, very low scores. I mean, I don't know what all that's about, but I mean, if you win with 2,000 points, it must be something pretty, pretty interesting going on there. Maybe they didn't find any information on either any of the 5 rounds, but I don't know about that.
And yeah, Flipster versus Noisel in rural Estonia. That didn't go too well. Pretty close game, but uh, yeah, neither of them broke 6,000.
Yeah, given the score, I think it was like a round where they both got a lot of points, and then on the other four, it was like very low scoring rounds. But in the end, Neusel just edged it there.
Yeah. Okay, I have opened up the Peru map and just looking at how the results went, I don't think either of them uh was too invested in the game. I think uh yeah, but some of them were just uh, playing the round in like 15 seconds, 10 seconds or so. Um, but yeah,
Right,
maybe,
so that
yeah,
explains the lower scores, right?
right. Um, so yeah, not the best week for Drew and GB there, but yeah, GB did pick up a win in North America over Drew, so maybe a bit of an upset there. If you'd like to think of it that way. Radox as well, picking up a very decisive win in Japan against Finn. And
Yeah, and Radux is very familiar with Japan. I think my first ever
yes,
Reddit League game was against Radux in Japan,
oh
and he beat me. So he has some experience there.
yeah. I believe he has made like most of the Japanese prefecture maps as well, so he's definitely, I guess, an expert when it comes to that. Um, uh,
Right, so a very big home advantage for him right there.
yeah. Uh, we do see Rafa just about missing on the perfect score on French photospheres, and Penguin as well, just missing a perfect score in his home ground with Poland. So, although they do pick up the wins they were expected to, maybe they're a bit disappointed they weren't able to pick up the perfect scores. But yeah, um, almost getting a perfect score on the photosphere map is always interesting to see. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting, and also it goes to show you again the importance of home advantage. They both won the home map by 10,000 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poland and France, French maps.
hmm
So
Uh, I, I have a feeling Rafa may have just memorized all the locations on the map, but I can't confirm that. Um,
yeah, it depends on how many locations are on
yeah,
the certain map, and if you play it long enough, you start memorizing it, and maybe you get a lucky seed where you can almost pinpoint it without even thinking about it a lot. Just like in Jake's official uncommon war map, you just start memorizing the locations.
yeah. Uh, however, I think one of the more interesting results this week, Sausage Web's pick of Batman in Turkey. As legendary as that pick is, Emre did show him up on that one, pulling off a perfect score there. So, yeah, I think that's definitely going to be going pretty well for Emre there.
Yeah, sure. Very, very nice city name right there. I
Uh-huh.
mean, was it a peak or just a random map
Uh,
that he was given?
it was Sausage Wipe's pick. It was city of your choice in Turkey, and he picked Bakma.
Yeah, absolute legend there.
Yeah,
But in the end, it didn't really pay off. That's unfortunate for him.
yeah,
But luckily, he did manage to pick up a draw, beating a weak on his own map.
yeah. Yeah. Um, in any case, here are the standings, and Radox is, he's pulling a bit of a lead against the other players, even with no perfect scores. He still has none. That is Radox um, usual weakness, his inability to really pinpoint well, but he is at the top of the table with a pretty hefty score differential as well. So, um, I think he's one of the
Yeah,
strong.
even though he's sorry, go on.
I was just saying, I think he's one of the strong contenders for getting that direct promotion spot, even if it isn't sort of set in stone.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to see him lose that first place. And I was just going to say that even though he's not getting a lot of 25Ks, he is very close to them, and he always has 20K plus games or 4K plus games, and he's very close. But just a little bit more time or practice, he can get also the perfect scores.
Yeah. On the other end of the table, we do see a sort of gap opening up between Diamond, Finn, and Rev Ruckus at the bottom and the rest of the table. So yeah, unless they're able to pick up a few more points, maybe some wins in the next few weeks, it's gonna become pretty difficult for them to stay out of relegation down there.
Yeah, it will be tough, and also if they drop out, they will have to re-qualify for next season, or is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. Um, but yeah, other than that, Americom and Sausage Wipe after their game do I believe they just retained their spots, so that isn't too bad for them. However, um, some of these players, Penguin and Druve, near the bottom of the promotion playoff spots, are definitely not safe over there. They're gonna have to put in a few more good performances to secure their spots up there in these last few weeks.
Even though they got a 2 point gap between the promotion playoff players and the players who will stay in the division. I mean, in a couple of weeks, there is a lot of changes that can happen, and they should really focus on their games and try to make those places, those top 7 places.
Yeah. Um. Well, here's what we've got in store for week 11. Um. Yeah. Any matches that stand out to you? I do think the two urban maps between Penguin and Neusel is going to be interesting to look at. It's basically just uh two urban maps. I'm gonna check what the five random cities are. Um, um okay, I have no idea what the five random cities are. But yeah, yeah. Any matches you're looking forward to?
I mean, Radux he faces Flipster. I mean, Flipster, given that he's in the lower end of the table, Radux is definitely the favorite there with his map pick of Tatras. I don't know if he practiced it or if before, but I see him as a favorite. It should be a win for him right there.
Yeah. I'm not actually sure what Tatras is. Let's see.
It's like a mountain range.
Okay.
in Slovakia and Hungary, I think, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a Slovakia and Poland. Uh,
Oh, right. So
okay, yeah.
Slovakia
They're
and
part of
Poland,
the
right?
Carpathians. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so that's definitely gonna be interesting. Uh,
Yeah, also the matchup between Biket and Finn, another match between the top and bottom half of the table. I think Biket's again the favorite
yeah,
here, given what we've seen so far this season.
yeah, and same case with Lord Pepsi versus Red Ruckus. The
Right.
the still world map is non non-moving. Which I don't know how good Lord Pepsi is at those, but yeah, I think that's a match we can predict pretty well. But yeah, there you have it. Let's take a look at Division 5B. And yeah, over here, Dakapaka does pick up a win with maybe not the best scores, but definitely capitalizing on Holzkopf failing to play this week. So he can definitely be happy with that win there. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. I mean, a win is a win, and also
mm-hmm.
it boosts his score difference, even if it's not by a lot. But it's 3 points for him, and definitely going to help him in this in the standings.
Yeah. We do see Anko, Mako, Afi, Joger, and Kiribati pick up wins as well. And yeah, Valentin Rebia, I think he did click through the games there. Um, not very good scores, but Cambodia is definitely going to be tough. So yeah, can't blame him for that score there.
Yeah, both of them I think struggled in Cambodia, but as you can see, less than 5,000 points were enough for the win for Ankomako here.
Yeah. Um, Other than that, Bombadil and Dead City do pick up bonus points. So even the Bombadil lost, he has that as a consolation. And yeah, the British Derby does end in a draw. While yeah, one of the French Derbies ends in a draw, the other ends in a win.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty interesting. Two very good scores by Afi there,
yeah.
and also in the other derby again, both of them winning the opponent's home map. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty rare to see, I think.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I think this division is one of the more toss-up ones. You really don't know which way most of the matches can go. But yeah, here are the standings, and we can definitely see Dakabaka's win this week. His first win, actually, of the season, does bring him a little closer to the rest of the competition, but yeah, he's still got a ways to go to get out of the relegation battle there.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too late for his first win, but that may give him confidence to perform better in the coming weeks. And maybe he could still get to that 11th place. But I think it will be tough because there's a lot of players battling out for avoiding relegation there.
Yeah. We do see Ankomako. He does move up a spot, and with that win, does retain his unbeaten streak. So yeah. He still hasn't had a loss, and we'll see how much further he can carry that. Um,
Yeah, one of the few people who's still unbeaten in the Battle League, and also even though he only got 2 wins, he's battling out for the promotion playoff spot.
yeah. Other than that, I think Kiribati and Wakelock have a pretty cutthroat battle for that top spot. But other than that, I don't really see any other players really making a run for that spot up there. Latomp and Guala Wizard are the only ones who can really battle for it, but I don't really see that happening by the end of the season.
it will be tough. So there's only 3 points between them, but there's like four people fighting for that first place. So it will be tough with only 3 weeks remaining. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, well, here are the fixtures we've got for week 11. And yeah, straight off the bat, Wakel are going for the home advantage with English Islands. Um, Kiribati going with Norrköping in Sweden. That's a home advantage as well. Let's see, what else? Um,
Yeah, I think it's a very, very tough match for Lakapaka facing Guaylo Wizard.
yeah,
So given that he's battling out for the promotion, I think it will be pretty hard for him to put out a win here. But he did it last week, even though his opponent didn't play. But maybe if he has the confidence, he can pull off an upset here.
yeah. Um, I, actually, I think the French Derby we've got this week is pretty interesting. Arga and Jenna have Thai Island and interesting photospheres. Definitely not the easiest maps to play. So yeah, I think that's gonna be one of the most interesting matches we've got this week.
Yeah, and they're both battling out for the promotion playoff spots.
Mm-hmm.
So a loss there maybe could see them go out of on that top 7 spot.
Yeah. We'll have to see how that turns out. Other than that, actually, Black Sea area is an interesting pick. Uh, but yeah, I think most of these matches could really go either way. Um, and maybe a few of them are pretty much decided. Maybe Wakelok versus Hulskop is a sort of one-sided match. Um, but yeah,
But apart from like 2 or 3 matches, it's hard to pick a favorite
yeah,
from any of these matches.
yeah. Um, actually, I think Anchormaker versus Lecomp is also going to be interesting, especially with Monaco, which is pretty easy. So it might come down to that Indonesia map. Uh,
Yeah, and we'll see again how much importance the home advantage will play, or almost home
yeah.
advantage. Yeah, because it's not
Mm-hmm.
really his home country, but
Close
maybe
enough.
maybe it's yeah.
But yeah, that does it for this week. Of the Map Battle League. Paulinho, thanks for coming on the show. Uh,
Thank you for having me. It was amazing.
yeah, and we'll be back to with week 11's results. So stay tuned for that.